Hi everyone, Raquel here from Scrap Cozy. Today I'm bringing you a project that I created for my latest release with Paper Artsy. Here you can see all samples that I made on that release. I will link to all the different projects created for this release in the section comments below, so you can check them. In this video, I'll show you how to create this Christmas panel, full of 3D ornaments using my hand-drawn stamps and stencils, lots of infusions and grunge paste. Let's get started. First, I'm going to stamp all my images using VersaFine ink, which is water resistant because it's oil-based, and in brown sepia because it's the color that I like the most. I'm stamping all of these in smoothie paper. I will be coloring all of them with infusions. One of my favorite techniques, infusions and water, like if you are watercoloring. I'm stamping multiple times the jingle bells because there will be many jingle bells all over the place. And also you'll see that I will be stamping twice the bow. And I will be making some masking because I want to create like a super cool bow that you will see using the banner as well. But now it's time to stamp my star, which I love very much. And you will see that I can turn it into 3D, which is gorgeous. And the final jingle bells. So now it's time for doing that masking bow. So first I'm stamping the bow and then I will create a mask, but it's a partial mask. I will just be cutting the edges there and there. So I don't need to cut the whole bow, it's just that bit. Actually I want to keep the middle without cutting because now I'm going to stamp my banner in the middle. And you will see that when I pull the post-it note, the bow that remains is great, isn't it? I love it. And now to add more layers, I'm going to stamp a second banner as well. So now I'm going to color. I'm starting with the yellow, and for that I'm using Golden Sands infusions. I'm just putting it in my craft sheet and spritzing some water. And then with a brush I'm mixing it very thoroughly so then I get all my walnut crystals dissolved. Repeating that again because I want a bit more. And I will color all the images. And as you see, I'm not paying any attention on going beyond the borders. I'm just heat setting that bit and then I will jump to the next color. For my next color I'm using Olive Tree and I'm mixing it with the remainders of the Golden Sands to create a warm green, and I will be using it to just color that ornament. And once I finish, I'll move on to the next color, which is the red, and for that one I will be using again a mix of two colors. So I'll be using magenta and rustic heart. So I'm doing there my mix, and then once I'm happy I will apply some water and I will test how it looks like. And then I'll go ahead and color everything else. So the bow, the banner, and the other ornament. I really like to mix and match my infusions to actually create a new color out of it. You can do that. It's like if you're mixing watercolors. So here I get a bright red that otherwise I wouldn't get with other infusions. And I'm being very generous on the amount of color that I'm putting in because I want a very bright red. Very Christmassy, isn't it? And once I'm done, I'll do also the other ornament. But since you already know how it works, let's move on to the next step. Now I have all my ornaments cut. I'm just making a final cut on that bow and then I will arrange all my ornaments on my panel to see how it looks. And then I normally take a picture of how I like the distribution, so then for future reference I know where I put everything in place and it will be easier. And once I more or less have it clear, I'll move on to the next phase, which is applying grunge paste through my stencil. I really like to stir my grunge paste for a while until it seems that it's fluffy, and then I work with it. And I like to leave it very flat. So here I'm just applying a Merry Christmas and I'm removing all the excess and making sure that it's completely flat. So here I want a full image, and for that now I'm going to heat set that so then I can move on to the next stenciled area. Here I'm just rearranging the elements to see where my laces would be placed, so then I can mark those lines, because I want to divide the panel in 3 sections, so 3 stenciled zones. The one in the middle will be full of diamonds. So once I have it clear, I go ahead and apply grunge paste. But I don't apply it evenly. I leave some gaps. I don't want the full shape of the diamonds just yet. And again, I'm making sure that it's completely flat. So there you go, first part done. And then I'm replacing my stencil to continue with the diamonds on the left and on the right. And on the borders I prefer to have full diamonds if I can. But again, the ones in the middle will be not fully done. Now I'm hint setting it. You can do it very easily, you will get no bubbles. And now I'm doing the top part, which will be with the arabesque. Again, it will be not a full image what I want. I want it kind of cut. You will see how we fill it later. And I will do this top and bottom. So again, a bit sparingly on one side and on the other, and always heat setting every piece so I don't destroy it and it gets completely dry before my next part. Now I'm checking where the laces will be, because I'm going to draw 2 lines with the Versamark ink pen. First I'm cutting down the panel, and then with a ruler I'm marking 2 lines which will sit underneath the laces. And I'm going to heat emboss them with clear embossing powder, and this is to create 2 barriers. So basically something that will prevent a little bit my water from going from one side to the other. And this is because I'm going to use infusions and lots of water, and I don't want it to move between places. So I'm basically adding that in. You could also mask it, but I don't trust masking very much and my water may go through, so I prefer not to do it. And now I'm going to fill in all the diamonds with ink. So now my pattern will be completely 100%, but it will have a distressed look because some of them will have grunge paste and some of them will only have the hint of the ink. Now I'm going to apply some infusions, slate blue, lots of it actually. Then with a brush I will clean top and bottom to make sure I don't have any powder there, and then I'm activating it with water, lots of water, and I'm moving it around. Can you see the hints of pink? I really love these colors, they're a mix of different colors. And now I'm going to heat set that until it's completely dry. I don't want to wipe it out, I want to keep as much color as I can, so I want it to be very intense. It will take me a long while to actually have it everything dry, but be patient, and it's worth it. And once that it's dry, I'm applying another color on top and bottom. I'm going to apply Golden Sands. Here I didn't apply any ink. What I'm doing is first applying a layer of color, so then it will be yellow, and then I will be doing a resist. A resist is when you protect your cover with something and then it remains untouched by the next layer that you apply on top. In this case, I'm going to apply some glaze through the stencil to complete my pattern, because if you remember, I also left unfinished my arabesque pattern. So now I'm going to apply it there. So I'm basically putting a drop of glaze. I'm using some cotton dry foam to complete the pattern. Sadly, my camera went off, so you can only see the result of applying another color on top of the glazed image, which is the green. Can you see that? The arabesque remains yellow and the rest is green. Now I'm applying some distress ink on the borders of all my panel. I'm applying Brush Corduroy. And now I will be inking all the edges of all my cut images. This is both to remove any whites that you can see on the borders and also to add some volume. It really makes a change if you add this touch, believe me. So I'm doing all the pieces one by one, and then I will 3D shape them by hand. I will start by the star, and if you have seen one of my videos, you will see how I do that. And I had to do it on many stars, so I have lots of practice. It's very easy, you just need to follow the lines and do the creases accordingly, and you will get a perfect 3D shaped star. Then on the rest, I'm just bending the borders to kind of curve them all the way. And then for the tall embellishment, I'm making sure that it has like these buffy different pieces, and I'm using a brush to give them a bit more round shape. For my banner and my ribbon, I will curve the borders in all the pieces, and I will also bend the ribbon a little bit, the one that it's cut, to make sure that the outside are more standing and more curving, and the knot is kind of deep. And then for the jingle bells, I'm just making sure that I try to curve them all the way as well, so they seem round. And that should be it. To attach all these elements, I will use some thread in gold. So I'm just cutting pieces longer than what I need actually, because I'm going to use a needle to poke a hole through, and well, you'll see, I nailed them all. So I'm just putting there the 2 pieces of lace, so then I know where they are, and then I'll try to use the different pointy beads of the lace, so then my thread is kind of hanging from them. The star will be the only one that doesn't have a thread, so it will just have lots of foam adhesive on the back, because it will be my main star. It will be in the front of everything else, so it needs to pop out, and all the little embellishments will also have on the back a little bit of foam adhesive, so they stand out. All of them now have a thread attached to them, and then the one that is very long has also a needle at the back. So I'm just placing it where it should, and then with the needle I will poke a hole through and go to the other side. It's a bit difficult to go through the grunge base, etc., but you can do it. And then I'll stick it to the back with a little bit of sellotape and cut the excess. So I'll repeat the same for everything. Since you've seen one, you know how to do the rest. So I just passed all the threads through, and then once all are done, then I'm applying the sellotape on everything and cutting all at once. And I'm also applying some sellotape on the back of the ribbon. Now it's time to apply my star, which already has foam adhesive in the back, so I'm just peeling it off and sticking it. I'm just fixing that jingle bell a little bit better. And I'll move on to the bow. For the bow, I have 3 pieces. The first one has some foam adhesive on the pointy beads down. Then the next one is the banner, which I'm cutting in the middle to make sure that it doesn't show. This is because the knot of the bow is slightly thinner than the actual banner, so I'm just making sure that it doesn't show basically. I'm sticking it on top of it, and then I'm sticking the third piece, which will be very 3D. And this is done. Now for the final touch, I'm going to apply some brads. So after poking holes through the corners, I'm passing through the brads, I'm opening the legs, and then I'm cutting the excess that is seen through with the Tim Holtz scissors. Make sure that it's actually these scissors or a very powerful scissors, because if you use regular ones, you may break them. Okay, and this is the final panel. This is how it looks like. So it's very 3D, you can see all the detail there. And then for a final arrangement, I'm going to fix it to a brown cardstock paddle. So I'm just calculating where it ends, I'm cutting it down, and then I'll edge the borders with some Distress ink, and then I'll fix it. I'm using some Ground Espresso Distress ink for the borders. Before gluing my panel to the base, I realized that the letters are not very bright, so I'm just sanding them now to make sure that I'm more white. and I'll remove that dust with a little brush, and then I will stick the panel to the back once I'm happy. So I'm applying the glue on the base, not on the panel, so then I don't ruin my ornaments. And once I stick it, it's 100% done. So I'll show you some close-up pictures. Here they are. I hope you liked the project. If you did, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, give me a thumbs up, or leave me a comment. I really appreciate your comments. They make my day happier. So thanks very much for watching and see you in the next one. Bye!